you can host the best backyard barbecue. When you find a professional on Angie to make your backyard the best around. Connect with skilled professionals to get all your home projects done well. Inside to outside, repairs to renovations. Get started on the Angie app or visit Angie.com today. You can do this when you Angie that.
Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs projects done well. I absolutely love this because, if you own a home, it can be really hard to maintain. It's hard to find people that can help you for a big project or a small. Well, whether it's in everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Angie has over 20 years of home service experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app, answer a few questions, and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish. Or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of just about any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Angie. Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs and projects done well. Let me tell you, there's the version of it where you try to do something at home, and then there's a version of it where you have someone help you, you watch them do it the right way, and you go, thank God I didn't try to do that myself. I have fully done things around the home that I think look good, and then a bang in the night, and I wake up to a shelf collapsing, a painting falling off the wall. I've seen it all go south. I own a home, and I can tell you, I know how much work it can take. Whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Whatever your home project, big or small, indoor or outdoor, you can Angie that and connect with skilled professionals to get the project done well. Right now, one of my wish lists is I want a bike for my condo in Milwaukee, and I would love to rig it up on a pulley in the ceiling because I have one of those lofted ceilings, but I'm so scared to try that on my own. Angie has 20 years of home experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app. Answer a few questions and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and those who don't identify as either, you are listening to Ratchet and Respectable. I'm back. I'm back from Mexico. I've actually been back since Friday. I got caught in that Microsoft CrowdStrike, I think it was called, that whole computer meltdown that glitched out the whole world. I was out in Holbox, Mexico. A lot of people were like, where the hell are you? Holbox. If you're a long-term listener, you know that I went there before, I think in 2021. Me and Davita were there last time. We actually did an episode together that trip. I think that's the only time we've done an episode together, now that I think about it. But I love that place. Davita and I, when we went there, we were super tipsy and we were sitting in the ocean, which sounds crazier than it is. You can walk out half a mile into the water and it only comes up to maybe your hip in Holbox. It's beautiful, beautiful blue, clear water. But we were sitting in the ocean, or I was sitting in the ocean. Davita was sitting on the beach and we were yelling our hopes and dreams back to each other. I said, I don't think I want to live in LA anymore. And it's I think I want to move to Ghana. Every time I go with you, I never want to come back. And I was that's kind of a sign that I should be there, right? And then she told me she still had a full-time job. She wanted to quit her job. And she was okay, bet, let's do it. I meant it when I said it, but I didn't have a timeline for it. So the next day, we were going to try to do this cruise around the island on a private boat. And it was really pricey. So I was D, here's the cost. Do you want to do it? And so she was girl, I can't do that. She was I got to save because I'm quitting my job. And I was wait, are you seriously quitting? And she was are you seriously not moving? So it was an unofficial pact. I went ahead and moved to Ghana the following year. I had to put my life in order and get my money up in order to move. Davita quit her job 2 weeks after she got back to Atlanta and was like, okay, I'm going to focus on doing my trips to Ghana and then also my skincare line. Like, that's going to be my full-time thing. Sitting in the water in Hobosh. And I mean, I do honestly think the water has powerful properties, kind of like how in Bali, people talk about how the land just has like an energy. I think Hobosh has a similar thing. But also, it's one of the few times in my life where I just had a chance to just be. The Wi-Fi isn't the greatest there. Neither is the electricity. It goes in and out. It happened then. It also happened this trip. It forces you to just be slower. And in that, there's opportunity to just focus and figure things out and just like sort of think about what you want instead of just always being in go mode and doing what you're accustomed to doing. Yeah, so Hobosh is one of my happy places. Like when I get down there, I don't comb my hair. I don't put on real clothes. The best you're going to get out of me is a swimsuit with a captain over it. One day I just went to breakfast in just my swimsuit. I didn't have no keys. I ain't had no money. Just put the charges on the room. No shoes, no captain. It was hot. I was going to sit in the sun, whatever. And then walking around the island, I would walk from my hotel into the center of town. There's a restaurant that I really like. It's like a 15-minute walk each way, but the island doesn't have cars or paved roads. It's just sand, essentially. So I was like, shoes for what? I'd be walking around my little Fenty sports bra and matching leggings, but that's my exercise / my walk to breakfast grounding because I ain't got no shoes on. And nobody looks at me crazy because half the people also don't have shoes on. At best, people have on sandals. This year, I went with 8 of my friends, including Davita. She flew in from Ghana, which I was like, girl, you really love me. But I also flew to her for Bali for her birthday party last year. And I was like, girl, I really love you. Evidently, the feeling is mutual. But it was 8 of my girlfriends to celebrate my birthday. Last year, I celebrated my birthday in Portugal, Lisbon, which I'd been really, really excited to get to for a really long time. I'd heard really great things about Lisbon. But I was in Europe by myself for my birthday, far away from my friends and in a different time zone. It wasn't the birthday celebration that I had imagined. And also, I didn't plan out the trip right. It was kind of last minute. So it's not even a fancy restaurant. It's just a popular restaurant on the water with these really dope views. Like I got to the restaurant and I was like, oh, like, party of one. And they were like, yeah, reservations closed like 3 months ago. And if you wanted to eat today, then you needed to be here at like 5 o'clock to get on the list. So we're not serving any more dinner. And I was like, oh. I think I had sangria and some sort of like custard pie for my birthday. It wasn't the dream. I did see a beautiful sunset in Lisbon, but I ain't eat dinner. I made up for it. I went to the beach the next day, but still, it just wasn't what I envisioned. So I said then, I was like, yo, so my next birthday, I'm going to be surrounded by my friends. I don't want to do a solo birthday, a poorly planned solo birthday. I think it would have been better if I actually planned out the day. The trip was good, but that actual day just wasn't like the birthday I had in mind. But this year was very epic. I invited a bunch of my high-strung type A friends who very much need a break from life the same way I do. I figured they would all get along just because they all get along with me and all of my friends are like variations of my personality. Like we're all the same person in different degrees. I thought that they would all get along. It turns out these mofos have all become besties. I started a group chat for the vacation and then like the vacation has ended and they're all like still in the group chat talking all day. And I was like, this is amazing. These are like all my people from like different walks of life. We had a really great time. We did a bunch of nothing, hung out at the beach, went to dinner, hung out at the beach, went to lunch, hung out at the beach, went to dinner, a different beach, a different fancy restaurant every day. We did go walk to see some flamingos. This guy who was checking out our hotel one night was telling us about these flamingos. And he was like, yeah, there's like so many flamingos. And then we got there and it was like 8 flamingos. Like deep in the distance. Like we were like, we could barely see the flamingos, but they were there. We just had to zoom in and it got bit up because the mosquitoes on the island were completely insane. It's rainy season, hurricane season. The island got hit by a hurricane. I got there on Tuesday on my actual birthday. The island got hit by a hurricane on the Friday beforehand. So much. It was a lot. There was a lot of flooding. We got driven around in glorified golf carts because we couldn't walk in the streets because of the flooding. It was a lot, but it was an adventure. I loved it. So the girls were there I got there Tuesday. They were there Thursday to Monday. And then I stayed on until Friday. So I had like almost a full 2 weeks on the island. That's why I went on vacation from the podcast. I came back for an episode, even though I was on vacation. I had to run around trying to find Wi Fi because the former president of the United States, I said on the episode, got shot, and my mom said he got grazed. And then thinking about it further, specifically because there's been no actual medical report released, which is very strange to me. You're the former president of the United States who's currently running for the office again. You don't get like a medical report. We don't get like a full breakdown of what actually happened to your ear, allegedly. I'm giving into this conspiracy theory. I don't think he got shot. There's a theory that he actually didn't get shot or grazed by this bullet, that glass from the teleprompter is what hit him and cut his ear. And that's why he started bleeding like that. It's a very Trump sort of thing to do, to get nicked with some glass and bleed and then pretend that he got shot and then position himself as some otherworldly figure who's strong enough to survive speeding bullets or some shit. He showed up at the convention with this like maxi pad like contraption on his ear. I think his ear is probably perfectly fine. I think it's probably the equivalent of getting burnt with a curling iron. I'm so sick of this man. I'm also so sick of politics. If we had a regular podcast that just covered pop culture, we would be doing an episode today about Supercell on Netflix. The show is number one, or at least in the top 10, I think by now, in multiple countries around the world. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, like, get thee to a Netflix account, like, with haste, expeditiously. It's the best show on TV right now. 5 black people in London get superpowers. And also, they're just regular black people. So they got regular black people lives, like delivery man, nurse, trying to find a job. There's a weed salesman. Like, imagine your local drug dealer got superpowers. What would he do with it? I started watching it on bad Wi-Fi when I was still in Mexico, and then I switched hotels mid-trip. Not for any particular reason. The first hotel was absolutely lovely, but then there was another hotel nearby that had like tree houses, and I wanted to go stay in the tree houses. But then like the tree house that I wanted didn't have like a view of the ocean, so I ended up staying in a yurt. They called it like a moon room, but I was like, this is a yurt. And then like the bathroom and the shower was outside. I got bit up on the ass trying to go to the bathroom after a thunderstorm, because you know that's when the mosquitoes come out after it rains. It was an experience. I may or may not do it again if I have ample bug spray, but I would have to have like 3 cans on hand, like 1 per day. That's how bad it was. But that's not the point. The point is Supercell is really good. It's only 6 episodes. And in addition, it's a really beautiful cast. One of the women looks like a brown-skinned Lisa Ray. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Then there was the lead actor is this really cute guy. He's black British by way of Nigerian parents. Beautiful man, just absolutely gorgeous. Cute, beautiful. And then there's this other character, and I was like, God damn. Like, I was mesmerized. I had to go look him up because I was like, who this man? What else can I see him in? Because he's fine. Gets. He's a rapper from the UK. Apparently he's huge. He's got millions of followers on Instagram. Never heard this man's name before in my life. I was like, Gets, you said. And it's age appropriate. He's like 39. Fine. He looks like Daniel from Insecure. Remember Daniel, brown skin Daniel? He had the pretty smile with the big pretty teeth. Daniel, brown Daniel, with the beard. Him. He looks like that. Fine. Go look him up. But I was like, oh, I think this is my new crush. He fine. And he got that British accent. I didn't see men looking like that when I was walking around the streets in London. Maybe I was walking around the wrong streets. But I was like, I was hanging out in Brixton. Ain't that where the black people at? I lived in South London. I mean, like the top of South London, but still. Maybe I need to go deeper in. He could go. You know what? Let's move along. Summer should be fun, not financially stressful. With the Chime Secured Credit Builder Visa credit card, it's easy to start building credit with everyday purchases and regular on-time payments with no annual fees or interest. And if your credit scores grow, so could your opportunities for lower rates on loans, like for a car or home. With Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card, there are no annual fees, interest, or even a credit check to apply. And you can use it everywhere Visa credit cards are accepted. You get to build credit using your own money. What I love about Chime is you can also get paid up to 2 days early with direct deposit. They also have access to 60,000 fee-free ATMs. That's more than the top 3 national banks combined. With Chime's secure credit card, you can improve your credit scores all summer long. Get started today at chime.com/ratchet. That's chime.com/ratchet. Chime feels like progress. The Chime Credit Builder Visa credit card is issued by the Bancorp Bank North America or Stride Bank North America. Spot me eligibility requirements and overdraft limits apply. Out-of-network ATM withdrawal and OTC advance fees may apply. Terms and conditions apply. Go to chime.com/disclosures for details. I'm the kind of person who never shows up empty-handed. So my go-to host gift is a fantastic bottle of wine. And as a First Leaf member, I always have the perfect bottle on hand to share. First Leaf isn't your average wine club. It's better. With each shipment, I get a personalized selection of wines from all over the world, handpicked just for me. But by far the best thing about First Leaf is how much I can tailor my membership to my needs. I can choose between 6 or 12 bottles, decide how many reds or whites I want, and select a shipping window that works for my schedule. And if I've got a barbecue, happy hour, or family dinner, I can opt for First Leaf's fine wine upgrade to get a really special bottle that's sure to impress. Plus, if I ever need a little extra help picking out a wine that everyone will love, I can get free advice from First Leaf's Wine Concierge. It's a foolproof way to know you're getting the right wine for any and every occasion. I am partial to reds and rosés. That's what I always ask for in my shipments, and First Leaf has not let me down. I love their wines, and more important, the people I gift them to love them equally as much. So get wines to sip and share all summer long with First Leaf. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/ratchet to sign up, and you'll get your first 6 handpicked bottles for just $44.95. That's tryfirstleaf.com/ratchet. Tryfirstleaf.com/ratchet. I'm trying to avoid talking about the thing that I should be talking about. And once again, if we had a podcast that just discussed pop culture, we will be talking about Supercell, which we just talked about. We'd be talking about it in way more detail. We'd be talking about the Emmy nods because a bunch of our favorite shows just got nominated, but talking about that feels a little silly and pales in comparison to what we should be talking about. We should be talking about Sha'Carri Richardson on the cover of Vogue. I haven't read the article yet. I saw the pictures. I love Sha'Carri. I love Sha'Carri. I think I mentioned this in a previous episode about her being on the cover of Vogue. I didn't love the clothes. This is when I need to have the podcast on video so y'all can see me shaking my head. Like, I didn't care for it. I didn't care for her looks. I love her. I love her look, but the clothes they put her in, those looks, I didn't care for. But she's on the cover of Vogue, digital cover Vogue, and I was like, y'all couldn't give her a full Vogue cover. I mean, digital Vogue is good. Digital Vogue is good, but print Vogue still carries weight. I would like to have an issue of Sha'Carri on my imaginary coffee table because I don't have a house. But when I have one again, I would like to have, I would like to have my Sha'Carri cover along with my Lupita cover, along with my Kamala cover, along with my Michelle Obama cover, along with my Beyonce covers. Like, I would like to have like my covers of Vogue laid out. But I can't do that with the digital cover. But congratulations to her for all of her things. I just saw some her and Cardi. I don't know what it was for, but they were in conversation. I saw some clip on Instagram, but they were just gushing over one another. Cardi was so excited about Sha'Carri that she started crying. And she was like, I'm just so proud for you. I'm just so happy for you. Like, I just love you. I didn't realize it till they were sitting there together. But I was like, oh, there's actually a lot of overlap here. They should probably be friends in real life. There's common connection. I get it. But I feel like Cardi finds that with everybody because, like, Cardi was with Patti LaBelle, and I was like, oh, yeah, I see it. I get it. Yeah, there's connection. For all the people that criticize Cardi, like, Cardi there's a thing. There's a thing. She has a thing. In no way related to Cardi. Meg Thee Stallion is performing at Broccoli Festival in DC next weekend, and I don't have tickets. And I tried to find tickets online. They went $1,100 American US dollars. And I was like, are you on drugs? Like, it's a festival. It's a 2-day festival. Make your money, Black people. But I was like, I'm not paying 1,100 American USD dollars in dineros. I'm not. But I really do want to see Meg. I didn't pay $1,100 to see Usher or Beyonce. Nas was here on Sunday night, which I didn't learn until Sunday morning. I would have planned better. I already had plans for the day. It was Nas with an orchestra doing Illmatic. It started at 8. and brunch was at 2, but brunch didn't really get going till 3. And then there was like a day party after brunch. And then there was a party after the day party. And by the time I actually looked at my watch, it was like 10 o'clock. There was a lot going on Sunday, which leads us into the thing that we should actually be talking about. So I'm driving to brunch. I'm running mad late. I'm sitting at the light. I'm meeting my friend and his fiance. And also my homie is going to come meet us. And I go to text them to say I'm running late. And my Instagram is open. And there's something that looks like a letter. I scrolled and then 2 or 3 people have the same post back to back. I zoom in on the letter because the print is real small. It's a message from President Biden. So I'm trying to read it, but like trying to zoom and read and then check to see if the light changed. And the gist of it is I'm not seeking. So I called my mom like immediately and I was like, did Biden just resign? There's been all this chatter about his physical decline, his cognitive decline. Then he got COVID. He's in his 80s. He's already looking frail. And I'm like, oh my God, is the president about to be taken out by COVID? It's not an exactly crazy assumption. My mother is like, I'm watching MSNBC now. Wait, or whatever. And she's like, no, he's not running. He's not running. He's not stepping down, but he's not running. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? I feel very much like I'm one of the few people that is actually shocked by this decision. People, media, press, very high profile figures, Nancy Pelosi being one of them, George Clooney, and I think an op-ed for the New York Times, very prominent people and publications have been calling for Biden not to seek re-election. Biden, in response, had very publicly on multiple occasions said that he is running. He put out a tweet. He said, I am the sitting president of the United States. I am seeking re-election. He went and did an interview, I think it was on ABC, and he said something like, unless Lord Almighty, God Almighty, one of those, same person, different name, but he was like, unless Lord Almighty comes and tells me not to run, then I'm running. He was very clear that he is not pulling out. So he said it, and I was like, okay, well, it's done. Like, he's put it in a tweet. It's in writing. He said it in an interview. He said it with his chest. He put some bass in his voice. He might be shaky on some other talking points, but on this one, he's very clear. He's not pulling out. And then on a sunny Sunday afternoon, I'm reading on freaking Instagram that he's pulling out of the race. What? Before I got to the restaurant, Biden had already released a second statement saying that he fully endorses his vice president, Kamala Harris, and that he wants her to be the next president of the United States. And then quickly, all the leading Democrats fall in line. People who you thought might have wanted the job as president, who you may have thought wanted to throw their hat into the arena and be like, well, if it's not going to be Joe, well, then I'm going to give it a go. They quickly lined up behind Kamala. As of last night, the vice president had enough delegate votes and delegates for the convention that's coming up next month. She has enough votes. She's already crossed the threshold that she is definitively going to be the Democratic nominee for president. Just like that. Like, it all happened in like 36 hours. I am not okay. Everyone else seems to be like very much like, okay, boom, this is the program and this is the agenda. Biden puts out this announcement that he's not running at sometime around 2 o'clock on Sunday. And very quickly, there's this organized call for Black women. I wasn't able to get on the call, but 44,000 other women were. They raised something like $2 million. I was on the call last night. Black men responded in turn. They did their own call. It was like an all-star of every Black man who's ever ran for, held, or even considered a public office. Every Black man who's ever fundraised for anything political. It was led by Roland Martin. But when I tell you everybody, like William Barber did the benediction, Michael Eric Dyson popped in, Bill Bellamy, Don Cheadle, Will Jawando, Dr. David Johns. I was really glad that I watched the guys. I wish I had been able to not participate, but even just be in the room for the women's one. But the guys, I sit on the internet more than I should, reading comment sections that basically assault my self-esteem as a woman. The rhetoric of that deceased cult leader has just taken over the internet. And these videos, this dating show where people pop balloons if they don't like someone. And then the host asks them, like, well, why did you pop this balloon? And like the men, and sometimes the women too, in fairness, are just so rude and bitter and aggressive and hateful. The show that I'm describing is run by a woman, and I don't think it's her intent. I think it's the culture of conversation around anything regarding relationships or gender particularly. But the men on the shows are just so awful to the women, and in the comment sections are just so god awfully terrible. But I read that stuff and it really makes me scared. I think I've said this before. I'm genuinely scared to encounter men sometimes. Like, you just never know who's unhinged, who can take rejection and who can't, who seems like a normal up front, but then turns out to be just like a total madman. But being on the call last night, the men on the call were galvanizing to support Kamala Harris. And for about 3 hours, I listened to them talk about the importance of supporting this Black woman, supporting Black women in general, debunking myths and untruths, outright lies about Kamala Harris's record as a prosecutor. No, she was not some reign of terror trying to lock up Black men. They were clarifying untruths about her, emphasizing that, supporting a Black woman, having a Black woman in a leadership position is not emasculating. Black women, how Black women in the community have continuously supported Black men. This is an opportunity to support our sisters in turn. Go vote, everybody, but also bring your boys. When you go to the barbershop, talk about voting there. Debunk myths about Kamala Harris at the barbershop. Don't let the barbershop talk take over the narrative. It was really beautiful. I realize how rare it is that I'm in spaces where I hear Black men in mass supporting Black women. So men that I know and have known for a long time being supportive and caring, yes, I'm accustomed to that. But just men, just randoms out in the world that I'm not related to, getting together as a group and discussing amongst themselves the importance of supporting Black women and showing up for Black women and showing up to the polls to support a Black woman and financially supporting this Black woman and her ambitions for this Black job. It was warm and fuzzy inside. I literally stayed on the call to the end.
Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs projects done well. I absolutely love this because, if you own a home, it can be really hard to maintain. It's hard to find people that can help you for a big project or a small. Well, whether it's in everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Angie has over 20 years of home service experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app, answer a few questions, and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish. Or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of just about any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Angie. Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs and projects done well. Let me tell you, there's the version of it where you try to do something at home, and then there's a version of it where you have someone help you, you watch them do it the right way, and you go, thank God I didn't try to do that myself. I have fully done things around the home that I think look good, and then a bang in the night, and I wake up to a shelf collapsing, a painting falling off the wall. I've seen it all go south. I own a home, and I can tell you, I know how much work it can take. Whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Whatever your home project, big or small, indoor or outdoor, you can Angie that and connect with skilled professionals to get the project done well. Right now, one of my wish lists is I want a bike for my condo in Milwaukee, and I would love to rig it up on a pulley in the ceiling because I have one of those lofted ceilings, but I'm so scared to try that on my own. Angie has 20 years of home experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app. Answer a few questions and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
This whole situation is very much a whirlwind for me. Everyone else seems to be moving on very quickly. And this is what I was saying earlier. Like Joe makes this announcement and then he throws his weight behind Kamala. And then Democrats, everyone's throwing their support behind Kamala. Black women organized for Kamala with like 44,000 people. Black men follow up literally the next day with another 33,000 of their own. 2 million from the women, 1.3 from the men. One of the organizations specifically for Kamala raised, was it 81 million in one day? Chris Cuomo, I still follow him on Instagram. Chris Cuomo was reporting that like within the first 48 hours, organizations that are raising money for Kamala Harris have raised more than $150 billion. On Rachel Maddow, they were saying the amount that the Harris campaign has raised in one day, it's the largest amount of money raised in a single day for any elected official in any position ever, like in the history of fundraising. So people are coming together like very quickly. People are um excited, energized. It's something new, it's something fresh. It's not two old white men, both who seem to be cognitively challenged, if we're being honest. And I'm specifically saying cognitively challenged and not old, because I don't think the old is the issue. Because I don't think the old is the issue. There are members of Congress who are older than Biden and Trump who I still feel like are all there. Like they're old, they're gray, but they still sharp. Neither one of them, neither Biden nor Trump, was very sharp. Biden has sat it down. Trump is still in the race, which we'll talk about that in a second. I want to finish making my point. Everyone seems to have organized really quickly and has just like shifted. It was like, okay, Biden's out, Kamala's in, like, let's go. Yes, that needs to happen. Like the convention is next month and voting happens. I think as of today, it's 105 days away from the general election. Everyone else seems to be like with the program and sharp and on it. And I'm just sort of like, I don't know, like the lobster meme from SpongeBob, or like in a cartoon when somebody gets hit in the head and the birds start flying around in a circle and they're all confused. That's how I feel right now. I'm just like, wait, what? The man said he wasn't dropping out. And then now he's dropped out. And then last week they were making it sound like he was like a stumbling, bumbling idiot. And I mean, last week, as in like Saturday. And then as of Sunday night, it's like he's a patriot. He's selfless. Hakeem Jeffries called Biden one of the greatest public servants of all time. He is a patriot. He's selfless. He's courageous. He put country over self. He sacrificed for the country. Thank you, Mr. President. He's being described as bold and visionary. And I was like, last week, y'all made this man sound like he was decrepit and dead. And now on Sunday, Monday, y'all got a whole different tune. I mean, great. I mean, it's amazing that everyone got their marching orders. They're acting in the way that I previously praised Republicans for doing. Republicans, particularly MAGA Republicans, their agenda ain't shit. But they fall in line for better or for worse. They're like, this is it. This is the company line. This is all we're going to talk about. We need a new N word. Woke isn't working anymore. What's the new one? DEI. And so everything out of everybody's mouth is DEI, DEI, DEI. Before that, it was CRT, CRT, CRT. Everybody uses the same language. The Democrats apparently are doing the same thing. I was like, did everyone just get their switch flicked and I'm just left behind? Or how long has this been in the works that everybody is just getting in line so quickly this way? But a lot of the people who are organizing and coming together and figuring stuff out, there's no possible way they could have known before the rest of us, because there would have been a huge leak. Maybe I'm just in the minority here, but I'm just like confused. There's an assassination attempt on the former president, and I'm no fan of Trump, obviously, but an assassination attempt on a former president or someone running for office. I mean, it should be insane in regular politics. I mean, given America, the trajectory that we're on, it's not. But still, like, it's jarring. And then, like, a week later, literally, I think it's a week, weekend to weekend. I think the assassination attempt was last Saturday, and then Biden steps aside on Sunday. And this is after it's announced that he has COVID. Like, that's a lot. And then it's just like full speed ahead. Okay, Biden's out, Kamala's in, she's raising all this money, and we're like, Team Kamala, which don't take any of my confusion or what the fuckness as like not supporting Kamala Harris. 100% on board. Team her. I'm with her. What you need me to do, where you need me to speak, where you need me to raise money, who I need to send it to, But also, huh? Everyone else seems to just be like, okay, here we go. I feel very stuck. I was expressing this on Facebook and people were like, well, get unstuck. Let's go. Like, we don't have time to wait. And I'm like, this was announced yesterday. It's not like, this happened a month ago and I'm still like, I can't move on. Even as today, I'm recording the podcast. It's Tuesday at 1:15. We're almost 48 hours out from the president announcing that he wasn't seeking re-election after insisting over and over and over that he was seeking re-election. Like, what the fuck is basically all I got. When Biden said he was in, I was like, well, all right, well, that's what it is. And that's what we're going to do, because changing the nominee like 3 months out from the general election sounds crazy to me. So it's going to be Biden. And like, it probably shouldn't have been Biden. I agree that he had some severe decline. I guess at this point is null and void. It's not like we haven't been talking about Biden's decline all this time, for at least the last year and change. And if I think really hard about it, I think probably since the last election. I just don't understand why we had to get to the point where we're 3 months out from the general election to switch candidates. Why wasn't this planned at any time in advance? I was reading articles today. There's a great article in The Atlantic, which I can't read the whole thing. I've been reading articles about the article in The Atlantic about how the Trump campaign is in complete shambles over Biden pulling out. They had a whole game plan for winning that was strictly about Biden being the candidate, which for good reason, they thought that's who it was going to be. As much as Trump was going at Biden, saying that he's too old, although he's only 2 years older than Trump, but saying that he's too old, that he's incompetent, that he's sleepy, although Trump will fall asleep anywhere. Like, he fell asleep at the RNC. He fell asleep when he was on trial. And I'm like, sir, you can't stay awake. Are you going to do this in the Situation Room? Are you going to do this in the Oval Office? You know how relationships, they always talk about when somebody starts accusing you of cheating, it's because they're cheating. I feel like that's what Trump did. It's like you're making people look at Biden and be like, see, he's sleepy. See, he can't form sentences. See, he's not quick. I'm like, well, you're not quick either. Like, you talk a lot, but you don't be saying nothing. You don't be making no sense. But apparently the Trump campaign is in complete shambles. They had never really planned on Joe Biden not being the candidate. They never made plans for what if the nominee is Kamala Harris. So they have no game plan right now. And the way it's being positioned is the current felon and the former prosecutor are now facing off. And Kamala Harris, in her first big speech, I think it was in Wilmington, I watched it on MSNBC last night, she's poking at Trump. She's saying that when I was district attorney and when I was attorney general, I prosecuted people. And then she went through all the list of things that Trump has also been either found liable or guilty for. So the prosecutor versus the felon, 34 felonies. It's an interesting face-off. In the midst of my what the fuck, because I don't know another word to use, one of my writing mentors, Emil Wilbekin, he always gets mad at me when I curse. And he was like, you're a writer, use your words. You have words, use them. And I'm like, yes, you're entirely right. But sometimes, like, there's no substitute for like the N-word or what the fuck. Sometimes that's the best you got and it sums it up better than anything else could. In the middle of my WTF, I am excited. I was on the phone with my mom when I was driving. She was standing next to the TV, so it was loud as hell. And I heard the commentator saying that Biden was endorsing Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee. And I got goosebumps. And the last time I felt like that was for Hillary Clinton. And then before her, Barack Obama. I campaigned for HRC, got a lot of flack for it too. I promoted her on every platform that I could. I worked with the campaign. I wanted Hillary to be our president. And I just knew for certain that she was going to be. Because in my mind, there was no way in hell that we were going to nominate Donald Trump. He's an idiot. And on top of that, he's a sexist, racist idiot. He's walking around talking about grabbing women by the pussy. Women surely are not going to vote for him. I mean, it's clear sexual assault. Like, are men going to endorse this? And then Hillary Clinton is probably one of the most qualified people to ever run for president. It would be impossible to elect Trump. And then I remember going to Clinton's headquarters that night in Brooklyn, and everyone was like defeated. Like, when I left the house to go, the polls were still decent. We got to the place 40 minutes later, and everyone was like in zombie mode. And I was like, what the fuck? And they were like, it's not looking good. It's not looking good. And I was like, how could it not look good? Like, she's running against Trump. Trump can't win. I went to bed that night like everyone else who was at least able to fall asleep. The race hadn't been called. And then I wake up the next morning and they're talking about Trump won. Like the feeling of defeat and disgust and terror, there's part of me that is scared to get my hopes up about Kamala because I don't want that feeling again. It's one thing to have the defeatist notion that, like, oh, fuck, like Trump's going to be president. It's going to be the whole Handmaid's Tale. I might as well just go back to Ghana. Damn, I wish I had kept the apartment. As my father points out, it's not like it's the only condo in Ghana. If you want one, then go buy another one. They got more than one. Fair. But that one would have been ready a year from now. Still. And it was really cute. They just couldn't figure out where to put the kitchen. Letting it go. I want Kamala Harris to win. I want a woman to be president. I want a Black woman to be president. It sounds like some never in my lifetime shit that could actually happen. And I mean, it happened with Barack. And people who keep saying that like she's not electable, the counterpoint is she's electable if you vote for her. She's electable if you elect her. I'm just really scared to get my hopes up again. And I know that's not the company line. That's not what everybody's talking about right now. We're just supposed to be 110% go Kamala, everything Kamala. Like, yes, I get it. I want to be there. And I am. I just have like these other reservations that nobody else seems to be talking about, which makes me feel like, am I crazy? I don't know. Is it because I wasn't here? I was overseas, so I missed some nuances that led up to this moment. I feel very left behind and very confused right now. I'll get on board. I am on board. I just also, in addition to, not but, and, am like, the fuck? What's the one thing most history books all over the world have in common? That they're seriously lacking in the melanin department. Wondery's podcast, Black History for Real, introduces you to the most overlooked Black history makers you should already know about. In recent episodes, they've told the story of women of the Black Panther Party, like Assata Shakur, who's still a fugitive in exile, and Elaine Brown, the first female chairperson of the party. And there's so much more, like why a young Samuel L. Jackson got expelled from Morehouse College, and why country keeps trying to keep Beyonce out. Follow Black History for Real on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcast. You can listen to Black History for Real early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus. Discover more to the story with Wondery's other top history podcasts, including American History Tellers, Legacy, and even The Royals. The only other thing that I want to talk about, and this is another WTF, but for different reasons. Police released the video of Sonya Massey earlier today. She's a Black woman. She was killed by a police officer. She had called 911 because she thought someone was trying to break into her house. And they came 30 minutes later. The end result was her death, even though she's the person that called saying, I need help. They released the body cam footage earlier today. As a rule, I don't watch videos of Black people being murdered. I don't even remember his name. There's been so many of them. There was a guy around the time of George Floyd. He was running down the street. He had on a white t-shirt, and these white guys pulled up on him. They thought he had broken into a nearby house, or he was responsible for a series of break-ins in the neighborhood. He had no weapon on him. They had guns. In the video, they shot him. I cannot remember his name for anything right now, but they shot him. You could see the blood from the wound spread out in his shirt, and that image just stayed in my head. And so after that, I was like, I'm done. I've never seen the George Floyd video. I've actively avoided it for years. I have no desire to see a man being strangled to death while he calls out for his mother. That's just the description of it is bad enough for me. But I was reading articles about this Macy story. I read several different articles trying to get a sense of what happened because I didn't want to watch the video, and none of it was making sense. It was like, so she called the police, and then the police got to her house, and she had no weapon. She lets them in the house, and they're asking her questions, and she's not answering coherently. Okay. Her family admits that she has a history of mental health, but not violent. Okay. And then the officer points out that there's boiling water on the stove. She needs to turn off the stove because he can see the flame. He tells her to go to the boiling water, and then she goes to it. And then somehow this escalates to her threatening to throw the water. I read versions of this article. Like, she says something like, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," or something like that. And then he shoots her. And I was like, huh? If he had to tell her to go to the water, then was it her intent to harm him? Also, the officer has been charged with murder, so it's clear that the state thinks that he was wrong in shooting the woman. I read the article trying to make sense of what happened because, again, I don't want to watch the video. I end up watching the video because what I'm reading in these 3 different articles, I read some stuff from America, I read some stuff on BBC, I read some stuff on Al Jazeera, and none of it made sense. So I was like, let me just watch the video. I really don't want to see a video of a black woman, or any woman for that matter, any person getting shot in the face, but I'm trying to make sense of the video, and I only watch it because I know I'm going to talk about it on here. I watched it. The woman seems confused. They didn't show the entire video in what I saw, but they showed a part of the video where she's sitting on the couch, the officer standing in front of her, the one that eventually kills her, and he asks her what's her last name, and she's struggling to remember her last name. And I was like, it wasn't evident to you in that moment. I'm not trained in mental health crisis. Like, I'm technically a certified life coach, but that's entirely different. But I'm like, you could look at somebody or talk to somebody when they're having like an extreme reaction and be like, oh, if nothing else, I'm not saying you're diagnosing them as like, oh, this is the issue or that's the issue, this is the name of what they're experiencing. But you can see when somebody's quote and unquote not quite right. At the point where the woman couldn't remember her last name, like, y'all didn't realize like she needs some extra care. Maybe y'all need to call an ambulance. Like, she can't remember her own last name. Clearly something's wrong. Like, she's having some sort of health issue, physical health, mental health, I don't know, but a health issue that clearly you're not equipped to handle because you don't know what to do. At the point where you, the officer, have to point out to the woman, hey, the gas is on the stove, you're boiling water, you might need to cut that off. You sent her over there to what you will later perceive as a weapon. You did that. She wasn't thinking about it being a weapon. She was sitting on the couch. You sent her across the room. The across the room part is very important because in the video, she's literally on one side of the kitchen. There's a counter between them, a couch, and then the officer's on the other side of that. Like, he's literally across the room. She gets the water and she says, there's a back and forth, and it's something like bantery. And then she says, like, in the name of Jesus, I rebuke you. You see, he says something like, you fucking better not throw that fucking water on me. And then she repeats the rebuke you thing. But at no point is somebody who's ever just like thrown some shit on somebody. And I'm thinking of like as a kid, right? You got to actually pitch it on them. Like, you can't just hold it and then turn it. Like, you actually have to like throw the water in order for it to reach them. Like, she's holding it, but at no point in the video, and I watched it multiple times, at no point does she make the effort to throw the water on him. He pulls out his gun and points it at her. She gets scared, says, I'm sorry, and ducks. It's impossible at this point for her to pitch the water. And he shoots her while she's ducking behind the counter, shoots her in the face. And obviously she dies. And then he doesn't want to render aid to her. No compassion whatsoever for this unarmed woman who he shot while she was ducking from him. He deserves to go to jail. It's just cold-blooded murder, officer or not. Protect and serve. I don't know how we get to shooting in the face. That's not protecting or serving. I'm so mad I watched that video. Damn. And that's the episode. We haven't talked about half the shit that's going on. Did we even mention the Olympics? I've been consumed with all the other stuff that's going on. One of my friends just sent me an invite to go watch the opening night at one of the embassies. I was like, is the Olympics this week? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, forgive me. There's a lot going on right now. All right. That's the episode. It's not everything. It's a little bit rambly, but I got it all out. I feel better. I hope it made sense to you. All right. Bye.
Today's episode is brought to you by Angie. Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs and projects done well. Let me tell you, there's the version of it where you try to do something at home, and then there's a version of it where you have someone help you, you watch them do it the right way, and you go, thank God I didn't try to do that myself. I have fully done things around the home that I think look good, and then a bang in the night, and I wake up to a shelf collapsing, a painting falling off the wall. I've seen it all go south. I own a home, and I can tell you, I know how much work it can take. Whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Whatever your home project, big or small, indoor or outdoor, you can Angie that and connect with skilled professionals to get the project done well. Right now, one of my wish lists is I want a bike for my condo in Milwaukee, and I would love to rig it up on a pulley in the ceiling because I have one of those like lofted ceilings, but I'm so scared to try that on my own. Angie has 20 years of home experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app. Answer a few questions and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs projects done well. I absolutely love this because, if you own a home, it can be really hard to maintain. It's hard to find people that can help you for a big project or a small. Well, whether it's in everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Angie has over 20 years of home service experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app, answer a few questions, and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish. Or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of just about any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.